Coming up today on the Locked On Hornets podcast, David Walker makes his weekly appearance. Doug tells us why LaMelo Ball is having a weird offensive season. And Shams drops some potential trade targets. Who would you be interested in as a Hornets fan? That's all today on Locked On Hornets.
You are Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
It's Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen. We are free. We're available anywhere you get your podcast, and that includes YouTube. There's David Walker. You can see him on YouTube with the interesting microphone that also served as a green screen for about 1 second.
I know, it keeps disappearing.
I liked that magic trick. Follow him on Twitter at David B. Walker, but also you get to see the substack, everyhornetsboxscore.com. He has teamed up with Doug Branson, his old co-host here on the Locked On Hornets pod. Now
that was said with a little animosity. I felt a little bit of tension there in those words.
Take it how you want. Take it how you want. I said what I said. Anyways, everyhornetsboxscore.com. That's the substack. And you can join subtext by going to joinsubtext.com/Locked On Hornets, and you can give Doug all your depraved Hornets thoughts. I'm Walker Mail. Listen to me, WFNZ, every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. All right, I'm not done. We still got to take care of a few things. This episode is brought to you by, get ready, boys, Gametime. Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. And also, your favorite podcast has a newsletter introducing the Locked On Hornets newsletter, the daily newsletter, one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free right now, LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. Start your day with the all-new free Locked On Hornets newsletter. All right, finally, let's get to it. Doug, you have been telling us you think LaMelo Ball is having a weird offensive season. Tell the people why you would describe it as a weird offensive season.
Yeah, so we've had a little bit of a break here, some time to reflect on what has happened so far this season, and we haven't seen LaMelo in a while, so I got curious about some of his numbers, and so I went stat diving, and of course I went to basketball, one of my favorite ones, basketballindex.com, and in terms of his offensive efficiency, this is a great site, by the way. You can compare him to 150 starters. You can compare him to on-ball guards. You can compare him to starting shot creators. It really kind of drills down into how he compares with the rest of the league, and particularly players like him. And so in terms of his effective field goal percentage, he's actually below average for 150 starters. And among the starting on-ball guards, his effective field goal percentage is just above average, 55.1%. And then among 59 starting shot creators, his effective field goal percentage is only 48.3%. His efficiency it's average to a little above average to sometimes if you drill down and put him in a different category, it's below average, which is a little shocking to me because he's just been such a high points creator for the Hornets. And I haven't looked at his game and thought, wow, he's really just kind of chucking things up there. Yeah. And certainly this effective field goal percentage is not low. But so I started to wonder, what's going on there? He's actually driving more. His floater game is completely on point, but and he's getting more foul shots, but his percentage at the rim is absolute dog bleep. It is not good. When he gets to the rim and he actually shoots, it is just not going in. And so that's one more area where he sort of still has to conquer, and he's pulling up a lot for the floater, I think, as a result.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that finishing at the rim, I feel like you looked at the numbers, you could tell me, but I feel like he's getting to the line, obviously a little bit more, getting a few more calls here and there. But I just don't think he's ever going to be someone that's throwing it down on top of people. You know what I mean? He's still going to be doing acrobatic and fancy finishes, which we all love, but it may not be necessarily good for efficiency. Are you saying that he stinks? Is that you're saying he's no good, right? That's what we're getting at.
Well, I just tell you those same stat categories that I just gave you the efficiency numbers on in terms of effective field goal percentage. Same thing goes for true shooting percentage, so that factors in the free throws a little bit too. But his rim field goal percentage, he's in the 10th percentile among starters. He's in the 20th percentile in the other two categories. No, it's not. Like his field goal percentage at the rim is awful. And you're right, like he's getting there. And when he passes from that position, it ends up being good opportunities for the Hornets to score. It's just he's not scoring well when he gets there.
Yeah, a couple of things for me. You're right, David. I don't know if he'll ever be good at this. It doesn't mean just because he hasn't figured it out yet, doesn't mean that he'll never figure it out. At the same time, it's been a consistent problem for him his entire career. You mentioned I don't want to bombard people with too many numbers, but this is what you kind of get every once in a while when you come to a daily niche basketball podcast. So if you look at the rim percentage each year for LaMelo, man, he's never been all that good percentile wise. He's never finished above the 20th percentile. That was last year when he shot 56% at the rim. This year it's 54. He's in the 10th percentile. That's about average with where he's finished in other seasons, but the estimated plus minus offensively, it's through the roof again. He's in like the 98th percentile again. He makes such a big difference for the team offensively and how they perform. Again, when he's out there, the turnover percentage is lower. He's getting to the free throw line more. So I think if you can't be perfect in every single category, yet you need to make progress, that's what we're seeing with LaMelo. Because what we're seeing with LaMelo is the assist percentage is still pretty good for even his usage percentage, having the basketball in his hands all the time. He's still finding guys at a good enough rate. Turnovers, they're down for the most part, so that's good. It's still not amazing, but it's better than it used to be. So that's one improvement. And when he does drive, which he's doing more frequently, he gets to the foul line happening more frequently, and he's already a good free throw shooter. So he's not perfect in all these categories, and yet still he finds a way to be one of the best offensive players in the league.
Yeah, maybe I'll amend what I said before the show. It's not that he's having a weird offensive year. It's that he's having a weird scoring year. Because again, I think you would look at the 3-point percentage, you would look at the volume of threes, you would look at the improvements that he's made at the foul line and go, okay, that's probably an efficient, like a wildly efficient basketball player in terms of scoring, and he hasn't been. And a lot of that is the quality of shots that he's getting at the rim and the percentage that he's hitting them. What scares me is if he comes back and the floater gets away from him. Because, it has been absolutely locked in, but we've seen periods of his career where it was kind of hit or miss whether he was going to knock that shot down. If that gets away from him, then, you can see that efficiency starting to slip even more.
Yeah, and it makes sense if you think about it, right? When has he done, like, the lion's share of his damage? When has he really been next level? It's in that fourth quarter, right? So it's like almost like you count on that fourth quarter, and regardless of what happened in the first three. So if he's missing a bunch of shots, you still feel like he'll do his thing in the fourth and get a bunch of points there. But also, like, what if he keeps ticking up in free throws? Like, what if let's say he starts to get calls.
That's the thing.
Let's say as he gets older and as he keeps driving and he stays on the court, he starts to get more calls. Like, that could be a fix right there. You know what I mean? And I do think this is a good point you made. Some of the passes out of there are passes that other people just can't make. And perhaps as they surround him with, a few more talented guys who can step out there, catch and shoot more consistently, that could help things too. The frustrating part about the whole thing is just that he can't stay on the court. We can't, keep making progress and building without taking a little half step back.
Well, that kind of leads into the first Sicko Satchel question. This is a LaMelo Ball
Beautiful.
episode, Sicko Satchel special episode. By the way, join subtext.com/Locked On Hornets if you want to get your Sicko Satchel question in. And this is from 302 of the 24th Othello Company. And the question is this. We all hope the answer is yes, but will LaMelo hit the games requirement for all NBA? What's your gut feel? Now, just for your knowledge here, you can miss 17 games now in the NBA and still qualify for all of these end-of-season year awards, including All-NBA. So far, LaMelo has missed 5 with this left calf injury. That's only one more than Brandon Miller missed for the glute strain. But so he's got 12 more that he can miss. What's your gut feel, David?
Ooh, I don't like it. It feels like that's within the realm of possibility. Although this week, hopefully, will be big. We're sitting here talking on Wednesday. They haven't played since what? Monday?
Sunday.
And they don't play again Sunday. They don't play again until Friday. So, man, if they could work some magic in that training room. If I had to guess, based on history, based on what we know, I would say he's likely to be right around that 12, and I would take the over just because what we know. It'll be interesting to see, should we get there and the talks are what they might be, like how much will they push it? How much will they play? Hopefully they can rest him some as he's playing, you know what I mean? But it's all up in the air.
Yeah, I have a few points on that, and I will reveal them in the next segment. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Yeah.
He's everywhere.
I have exactly 3 things to say about Doug's comments about LaMelo and the Sicko Satchel question. That's still to come here on LOH. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5, then get $150 in bonus bets, but that's only if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. Then you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets, and if you win, you get your first if you win your first $5 bet, then you get $150 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Also, this episode is brought to you by Mint Mobile. With big wireless providers, what you see is never really what you get. Somewhere between the store and your first month's bill, the price you thought you were paying magically skyrockets. With Mint Mobile, though, you'll never have to worry about gotchas ever again. When Mint Mobile says $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan, they mean it. Say bye-bye to your overpriced wireless plans, jaw-dropping monthly bills, and unexpected overages. Mint Mobile is here to rescue you with premium wireless plans starting at just $15 a month. All plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk, and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and bring your phone number along with all your existing contacts. Ditch overpriced wireless with Mint Mobile's deal and get 3 months of premium wireless service for $15 a month. To get this new customer offer and your new 3-month premium wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. That's mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNBA. $45 upfront payment required. That's equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. More Locked On Hornets ahead. Okay, few things. One, I'm sorry, did you say the Othello division as in Othello Harrington, a former Charlotte Bobcat? Because that is about as sick as it could possibly get.
I think that's why this person did not want to reveal their name. I'm still referring to them by portions of their phone number because they were so sick that they couldn't reveal their name because Othello Harrington, yes, ended his career with the Bobcats, final 2 seasons.
I mean, I think the only name sicker I can bring up is Jahidi White. And that's not even a game I'm trying to play right now. I'm just trying to think of old big men who ended their career. No, I won the game. It's fine. I'm not playing. I already won it.
I'm getting the shakes.
A couple of other things here about LaMelo. David, you bring up the free throws. Yes, it's the bailout. The free throw is the most efficient shot in all of basketball. So when you're going to the free throw line almost 2 more times a game, or at least you're taking 2 more free throw attempts than you have been in recent years, that is going to do a lot for you, especially when you shoot about 85% from the free throw line. So it allows you to be not very good when finishing at the rim. When you get fouled, you get bailed out, you go to the foul line, you hit those shots. That's why your offensive efficiency overall starts to go up. The floater, you're right too, Doug. The floater is also key. The mid-range jumper, I wonder if the floater is finding itself stat-wise. I don't know what the strict definition is on some of the mid-range numbers that there are.
It's not. No,
provided.
The mid-range, it doesn't qualify. The mid-range is outside the paint. And so it qualifies those paint floaters as something else because his mid-range numbers are garbage as well. And he doesn't take a lot of them. But what I'm saying is the free throws are not countering how bad the rim percentage has been. And it's, if you compare him to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, to De'Aaron Fox, to Luka Doncic, to some of the other elite shot creators, point guards around the league, he's not getting himself into that category yet.
Oh, yeah.
Because those guys put everything together. They put the rim percentage together with the free throws and all in one package. That's what I'm saying.
Well, no, and it's not Shai Gilgeous-Alexander level or any of these other guys, but I do think if he wasn't getting to the foul line as much as he is right now, it absolutely would be worse, right? What we would be seeing is something that's that's worse than what LaMelo has provided in the past. And so he's doing some things to offset that. He's improving in those areas, which is nice. So hopefully when maybe he's average or just improves to a tick below average at his rim finishing ability, then I do think that's when we start to get to this crazy level. And now we can get to like the 65 game threshold thing where he's missed a few games. I think you're right. The fact that we have a long rest this week is helping LaMelo out a lot. I have to imagine this week, if I'm not mistaken, this is going to be the time where the 2-week reevaluation period is going to end. Yeah. And then we'll see how he's reevaluated, even though that word has not necessarily been a good one for the Hornets and their injury reports. So if LaMelo can come back soon, great. Feels like you got about 2 injuries max for LaMelo before you're really worried about him missing the 65 game threshold. If you get 2 injuries, that's max. You get another one, like bye-bye, any chance at an all-NBA thing. And I got more thoughts on that, but I'll just leave that there so I'm not rambling on. What you got, Doug?
Well, the 2 things that I would say to that are, one, I would expect, particularly as the season goes on, if they're not in any kind of postseason contention, they're going to be super careful with LaMelo. So the games that he's played so far where he had right ankle soreness or right wrist soreness or left wrist soreness, those games will be him not playing as opposed to him playing. So and if the Hornets season doesn't go well, then he's not going to be in contention for these things anyway.
Right. Yeah, it might be a moot point, but it'll be interesting to see kind of that push and pull and where they land on that. I mean, it sounds a lot like the player you're describing in my head is like Trae Young, right? But he seems to get to the free throw line at a much higher clip. He's not finishing a ton at the rim, a la LaMelo. It's just, LaMelo's got so much when he does finish, like that lefty lay-in that he does, it almost like hits the shot clock and goes in. No one else does that. No one else can do that. I just feel like he can figure out other ways to do it, and he's so creative. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's not the most efficient, but it's pretty fun to watch. He's doing his thing.
Crazy. The other thing I would say about the injury stuff is, let's just say that he does come back and he makes the 65 game threshold. I think the amount of injuries is going to be important in the minds of voters just because of perception. So if you have multiple injuries, I think that only feeds the narrative that LaMelo is so injured all of the time. He suffered multiple injuries. I don't know if I can give him my vote for all NBA. Again, I'm not saying this is me. I think that this would infiltrate the minds of NBA voters. I do think maybe we're slicing the pie however you want to. At the end of the day, it's all still the same amount. But I do think it matters how you divide up this injury pie. So if it's just one big injury, then I feel like the talking points are a little easier digested if you say LaMelo has been incredible ever since he came back from that injury. But if he suffers multiple, I think people are going to use that against him, saying, well, here's another season where LaMelo went down multiple times. Man, he's always injury ridden, even if both of those outcomes mean he misses the same amount of games. And so I really hope that when he comes back, he just has like these little rest periods and it's not something significant where he steps on somebody's foot or a power forward steps on his foot. Like, I hope none of that happens so we don't have another multiple injury type season, because I think that matters compared to just the one.
We're ping-ponging all over the place, but I just had another thought on the free throw versus his rim field goal percentage being terrible connection. I wonder if they are actually connected, in that he might, this season, and really last season too, before the injury, was supposed to be focused on him getting to the line more, searching for contact. And I remember this with Kemba Walker too. Like, he went through a period where he was searching for the foul and not searching for the shot. And as he got better and reached All-Star and finally got his All-NBA, it was this evolution of Kemba Walker being able to do both, being able to get the contact and make the shots that he had, and not entirely search for contact at the expense of making the shot. So we'll see if that evolves for LaMelo as well.
And we love Kemba around here. He is the best Hornet ever, considered everything, all the boxes that he checked off. Yes, but with Kemba, like the one thing that I love about LaMelo is LaMelo was not relying on the foul in the fourth quarter during winning time.
No.
I'll tell you what, I got so mad at Kemba, as much as I love the guy. I got so mad at Kemba once he started looking for the foul in crunch time. I was like, dude, you crossed up Gary McGee. Remember, Madison Square Garden. We have those memories. We have those days. Please stop looking for the foul. And then it would be Jeremy Lamb that delivered a couple of clutch threes and then the half-court shot. I could not stand Kemba looking for the foul in clutch time. So I hope LaMelo never gets to that area because he's not there now. He's looking for his shot, and I trust that guy of hitting, even if it is from 30 feet out.
I don't think he will, because a part of the reason I believe this is such a sicko show, going back to like doing some analysis on Kemba Walker's game. Like, part of the reason Kemba had to do that is because of his height and because teams would like blitz the hell out of him and he couldn't do anything about it. And so that's not going to be a problem for LaMelo, who is much taller and a little bit craftier, and I think has found ways to. And we're waiting on Brandon Miller to do this as well. We saw a little bit of it against Indiana where he split the double team and yammed it hard. But like finding ways to kill those double teams, work his way out of that and still be effective. His deep 3-point shot, it really is the thing that can kind of separate him there, because he can hit, he can hit a shot with like 19 seconds still on the shot clock from the logo. So yeah, I don't think that's going to be a problem for LaMelo Ball moving forward. But we've got a juicy question, one more juicy question on LaMelo Ball from the Sicko Satchel that we can get to, and it has to it involves, after all this talk about what we love about LaMelo, what he needs to work on, it involves, of course, trading LaMelo.
No, I don't want to do this. Oh God! All right. People are going to be the YouTube comment section. YouTube comment section has stopped listening to the rest of the pod, and they are commenting right now. All of those users are coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast.
Bees everywhere.
We share more Sicko takes by going to the Sicko Satchel. That's still to come here on LOH. This episode is brought to you by Gametime. Gametime? Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Gametime Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Plus, there are plenty of perks. We've gone through them constantly. Gametime Picks. Curation makes it easier to save more, not only on sports, but also concerts, comedy, theater, other events. They give you all-in pricing. Toggling this feature shows the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. I just went through this for the Kendrick Lamar concert with the surprise fees. If I would have gone to Gametime, then it would have been simple as no surprise fees. I know exactly what I'm paying for. Surprise fees, I hate them. Gametime, I love you for not giving them to me. The lowest price guarantee or Gametime will credit you 100%, 110% of the difference. Gametime is awesome in that way as well. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime Picks. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA. Locked On NBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Game time?
Game time.
More Locked On Hornets ahead. It's okay. I feel like we went down Sicko Take Road. We didn't even let David talk all that much. So what we're first going to do is we're going to go to the Sicko Satchel. Doug is going to ask the question, and David, you will answer it first because, you're here for a reason. We want to hear you talk and give Sicko takes. What you got for David, Doug?
This one comes from Sean of the 5th Book Night Division, and the question is this: who is the worst player you would accept a trade for LaMelo for, 1-for-1? You don't need to match salaries. You are in complete fantasy land. We are not considering pick compensations. I'm just talking about 1-for-1. What's the worst player you would accept in a trade for LaMelo Ball?
This is actually a punishment, so I apologize. This actually was self-serving in giving you the right to answer this question first. But go ahead. I still mean what I said.
That is such a...
Just spitball some names. Spitball some names.
I mean...
They don't have to be your answer. We're not going to hold you to it. Just spitball some names.
Of course, I'm drawing a blank here now. No Scoot, no Dame. I'm just thinking of the guards at this point.
Yes.
Booker, Doug, Booker.
Oh, Devin Snooker. That's a definite no for me. That would never happen. All right, so let me take you down. Let me take you down NBA ranked the ringer list. And I'll just kind of very quickly go down this list and tell you if I would trade for them or not. Ready? Number 1, Nikola Jokic, yes. Luka Doncic, yes. Giannis Antetokounmpo, yes. Jason Tatum, yes. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, yes. Steph Curry, no, too old. Kevin Durant, no, too old. Anthony Davis, he's been less injured lately. That's a tough one.
I'm not doing
I'm kind of on the fence. Anthony Edwards, yes. Jalen Brunson, no. Victor Wembanyama, yes. Jaylen Brown, no. Devin Booker, no. Donovan Mitchell, yes. John Morant, yes. LeBron James, no, he's too old. De'Aaron Fox, yes. De'Aaron Fox, no. Domantas Sabonis, no. I don't believe in the Kings at all.
So, but this is the area, right? Like, I think if we're to stop you before you go down the entire list of NBA players that exist today, I would say that's the area. I think we reached the area there when you start to get to Donovan Mitchell, Devin Booker, Jaylen Brown, Karl Anthony Towns is in that as well. I would say no to Karl Anthony Towns. Like, I would, 1 for 1. I am not trading those guys just straight up with one another.
That might sound insane to some people too, but I sat close enough in that Knicks game to hear him constantly complain to the referees, and I had enough of it. So no for me.
Well, it's a no for me too, but because it's all offense. Like, I think if you're talking about trading 1 for 1, and again, we're in fantasy land, but I want to give Charles a player that can do it on both ends. Like, I want like somebody that has a chance to be one of the best players in the NBA if we're going to do this thing. And so right now, then, I think, because are we all a yes on John Morant at 15?
No, I don't think I am.
No, you're a no on John Morant.
I'm not doing it for Ja. I'm not.
Are you doing it for Donovan?
Donovan is the guy, I think. Donovan is probably like the best answer that we've come up with. Jaylen Brown was also another name that came to mind.
I've got it. Well, so we got to find the worst player, meaning we've got to drop down, and if it's no's all the way down, then it's going to be Donovan Mitchell's the line. But for me, I'm going to give you a name here that I would kind of be a yes on. And he's injured right now, but the way he played at the beginning of the season, I know not a lot of people are watching Orlando Magic basketball that listen to this podcast, but Paolo Banchero, number 20 on NBA ranked, that's a yes for me.
Yeah,
Paolo's going to be like one of the top 5 players in the NBA. Like in a year or two.
My only question is if you're saying that you need to have the defensive impact and he makes Orlando worse defensively, then that might be a reason as to why not to trade 1 for 1. I thought maybe there was enough sickness in you to go Franz because he impacts both ends of the floor.
Oh my God.
I thought maybe Franz was going to come out of your mouth.
Paolo might make them worse, but he's not awful. Like, Karl Anthony Towns is awful defensively. Like, Paolo, you give him a good cut, give him Charles Lee. I think it will help there. I don't think he's going to be an extremely negative impact.
No.
Let me run through some other names. All right, Jalen Williams from OKC.
No, you're going, and I love Jalen. Absolutely love Jalen.
Everyone loves Jalen Williams. We get it.
That's J-Dub, though. That's J-Dub that we love. Nothing.
Because I haven't gotten to LaMelo Ball. Would you trade LaMelo Ball for LaMelo Ball? 1-1. 27th on this list.
True.
Dame Lillard, 28. Kawhi Leonard, 29. Just stop me when you hear a name. Evan Mobley, 30. Bam Adebayo, 31.
Evan would be a guy that you would consider. Evan would be a guy
Chet
that you would consider.
Holmgren, 34.
Yeah, that's another good one, right?
That's a good one. I'm just terrified. The big guys scare me.
I think Chad.
He's already hurt.
Maybe, but that's the first name I feel uncomfortable answering. I say that. Like, every other answer was definitive, but once we get to Chet, that's where I start
what a
to get
horrible, disgusting question.
So, right.
Horrible in a good way.
Do we have any other Sicko Satchel questions that don't feel icky to answer with this, or is this the last Sicko Satchel question that we have for the people?
Zion Williamson, 49. Rudy Gobert, 50.
Hey, we had that conversation about trading for Zion once upon a time.
Definitely did.
Just resurrected.
Yeah, there are no other names. I will say, like, this conversation I think is interesting because right now Zach LaVine has zero trade value in the NBA right now. Big contract, injury history, but was an elite scorer and did at one point have a market and no longer has a market. So I think all of us, I don't want to speak for you guys, but I think we're pretty aligned in, like, now's not the time to have the trade conversation about LaMelo Ball. But I think this Jeff Peterson, I think he'll be eventually graded on when he threads that needle and starts to think about it and have that conversation or not have that conversation. Because if LaMelo Ball comes back and he's fully healthy and racks up all NBAs, then Peterson will look like a genius for not making the trade. But it's just as likely that his body continues to break down and they're stuck with this albatross contract that they can't get rid of, like Chicago and Zach LaVine, who is, by the way, 62 on the NBA rank list.
Oh boy, yeah. The variable, you just don't know like what could pop up, what guy could get disgruntled, what guy could want to move out. Who could become available is a shorter way to say it. But I think he's still got some road. I think they definitely want to see what this core can do, especially with this new coaching staff. So I think you're right, a little premature, but I mean, as the injuries mount, right? Like that is the line they're walking. As the injuries mount, the market could get smaller, but then you start looking, and then it's a fascinating decision. But I think right now you just got to be happy that he's playing as well as he was, and they got to get him back out there.
Let us know what you think on YouTube in the comments. What's the worst player you would trade LaMelo Ball for 1-to-1? We're not talking about pick compensation, obviously. Any realistic trade for LaMelo would have to involve 3 or 4 first-round picks, but that's not what we're talking about here. All right, final question very quickly. Schumann asks, I see ads for watches and Sprite featuring Tyrese Halliburton and Anthony Edwards all the time. Why is LaMelo not getting national advertisement opportunities? Is it the injuries? Is it his media, quote, limitations? I'm going to assume that's maybe some of the cursing and some of the off-the-court stuff. The Hornets, although that's Anthony Edwards too. The Hornets' poor performances. Is it something else, David? Why is he not getting?
Yeah, it's the wins. It's the wins. I mean, he was in an AT&T commercial. He and his dad, his rookie year. Yeah. He's been in Sprite commercials. He's been in Hulu commercials. But for the last year and a half, he's been out of sight, out of mind. And in that time, those guys have stepped up to fill in the vacuum. And now whoever gave Tyrese Halliburton all that money is deeply regretting it because he's scoring 9 more points than an injured LaMelo Ball. But yeah, that's what happens, man. This world doesn't stop when you go out. You know what I mean? They're going to find somebody. And Anthony Edwards, no matter what you think of him, I mean, I think we all like him. He's charismatic as hell, and you put a microphone in front of him, and he gives you gold. So, that's a no-brainer. There's a space for LaMelo.
He had to give up gold. He recently got fined for cursing in the post games, and then he was like, all right, I'm just not going to do it. Look, if I get cursed, then I'm not doing it.
It's the injuries and the wins.
Yeah, 100%. The injuries, if you think about the last 2 years, especially with the commercials needing to catch up, so Tyrese Halliburton, I don't know how many new deals he's going to get after this season. So we're seeing the commercials because he agreed to do these commercials after a wildly successful season that saw an Eastern Conference Finals appearance last year where he got all NBA. So if the LaMelo Ball commercials are coming, it's probably going to happen next year if he plays the 65-game threshold. The Hornets maybe make a little noise, and he gets some accolades because he makes the 65-game threshold. But at least he's playing, and he had not been playing the last 2 years. So if you are not playing, that is the marketability. What do you do on an NBA court? And if you're not doing anything on an NBA court, then these deals are going to go to other players.
That's the whole thing about this second inning of a 9-inning ball game thing that the ownership group is talking about, being patient, wanting to build a sustainable winner. That's all well and good until your star player looks around and goes, I'm not making the playoffs, and AT&T stopped calling. I need some endorsement deals. I can only get those if I get to the playoffs, so move me to a team that is going to make the playoffs, and then you might not get a Donovan Mitchell or a Paolo Banchero in return.
All right, that'll do it for Locked On Hornets. Thanks for making this your first listen.
You guys are sick in the head.
Disgusting. And we love you.
Oh, God. Did we say Jahidi White today? We did say that. That'll do it. Thanks for making us your first listen. Again, we're free and available anywhere you get your pods. That includes YouTube. There's David Walker. He's a part of everyhornetsboxscore.com, just like Doug Branson is, who also is texting you. Join subtext.com/Locked On Hornets, and then you can send your Sicko Satchel questions and your Hornets thoughts to Doug via text message. I'm Walker Mail. You can't text me except for on the world famous WFNZ text line, but you can listen to me. Sports Radio 92.7 WFNZ. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back with you tomorrow.